Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra. This is 5 Live, and over the next 1 hour, we'll be bringing you 5 stories that demand your time and attention, 5 stories that should ignite you, keep you informed. And since this is 5 Live, we'll talk about 5 stories that inspire your healthiest, happiest life. So let's get started. First up on the program, we take you through how the Finance Ministry official was killed in a car crash. The dying victim was taken 19 kilometers away in a hospital. Speculations are ripe over a cover-up, but now a CCTV footage has emerged that might tell a different story. The accused, meanwhile, is arrested. The Supreme Court has temporarily stayed part of the Waqf law, temporarily staying 5 years in Islam need no to the third party right on disputed assets, also upholds registration need for Waqf assets. The big story we are tracking here on 5 Live, 18 people are now dead due to this brain-eating amoeba. The numbers are fast escalating. Where is this found? What are the symptoms? What should you do in this case? Coming up on the program. Also, India didn't shake hands with Pakistan post the match. Now, Pakistan has launched a protest with Asian Cricket Council. And towards the end, we look at the Emmys. Everyone's favorite, adolescents, the Netflix series that got us hooked and shaken up, has scripted history, but what else really got big wins at the Emmys? We'll bring you the full download. All right, let's start with the story that hasn't made headlines yet, but should. There's a deadly amoeba out there that can actually eat your brains. And over the next 20 minutes, we will break down what this brain-eating amoeba is, how it works, and most importantly, how to stay safe. First up, the numbers. Why is it really critical at this point? Now, Kerala has seen 18 people lose their lives to this deadly brain infection caused by this so-called brain-eating amoeba. Now, at least 67 people have been infected in the state, and these aren't just numbers. We're talking about a 47-year-old man from Malappuram who recently passed away in Kozhikode Medical Hospital there. There is a 56-year-old woman and a 52-year-old woman from Malappuram as well. A 45-year-old man from Wayanad, a 3-month-old infant from Kozhikode. And now, even a 9-year-old girl who has tragically lost her life against the infection. And it's not just Kerala, if that's what you thought it is. In Delhi, a 17-year-old student from Trivandrum got diagnosed after swimming in a pool in the Akulam tourism village. The pool was, of course, immediately shut down. But why is the pool critical here? We'll tell you that in a moment. Let's first try and understand what is this disease. What is brain-eating amoeba? Here's everything you need to know. Now, it's called the Primary Amoebic Meningoencephalitis, or PAM. I know it's a mouthful, but basically it's a rare and often deadly brain infection caused by the nasty amoeba. Now, the tiny culprit loves warm, sort of untreated water. Think ponds, lakes, rivers, or even swimming pools that aren't cleaned well. How does it get inside you? Well, the amoeba enters your body through your nose. Not your mouth, not your skin, remember, but your nose. When you swim or dive in contaminated water, water can rush in through your nostrils, giving the amoeba a direct highway along the nerve responsible for your sense of smell and going right into your brain. Now, once it reaches your brain, it starts feeding on the brain tissue, literally eating it, and that's where the name brain-eating amoeba actually comes from. This causes severe inflammation, damage, leading to symptoms such as sudden, awful headaches, fever, nausea, vomiting, confusion, seizures, and eventually coma. Things progress rapidly, and without any quick treatment, it is usually fatal. Now, where is this amoeba found? Basically, places that you should totally avoid in this time of the year. Now, it loves warm, stagnant, fresh water. Places like ponds, lakes, slow rivers, swimming pools that aren't properly chlorinated. In fact, even chlorine doesn't affect the amoeba too much. So if you have been out for a swim, been at a hot spring, or been to a resort, been in a jacuzzi of any sort, remember and watch out for these signs. A really bad headache, nausea or vomiting, confusion or difficulty in thinking, even seizures. If you feel any of this slightly and you've been exposed to fresh water recently, you need to get medical help immediately. But like we said, in this case of Pam, things escalate very quickly. So how do you protect yourself? Basically, avoid swimming or diving into warm, untreated fresh water. If you must swim, keep your head above water or even use nose clips to stop the water from going into your nose. Because remember, there is no easy cure here. Let's look at treatment next. Treatment involves powerful antifungal and antimicrobial drugs. But even then, survival is tough because the infection progresses so fast. That's why prevention is your best bet. Stay cautious, avoid risky waters, and don't delay if you start feeling symptoms after the exposure. The first few hours are extremely critical. Now remember, when it comes to PAM or this brain-eating amoeba, the infection may be rare, but it's serious. So a little awareness can go a long way in keeping you and your loved ones safe. All right, let's cut across to our guest now. And joining us is Dr. Wali. Dr. Wali has been watching this space for a while. I want to understand from him, where does it actually come from? He's also senior consultant in the Department of Medicine, former physician to the president as well. Dr. Wali, a lot of questions come to mind when you think of a disease like this. But the biggest of all is, I want to understand, we've seen almost 60 to 70 cases in Kerala being reported. We are now talking about 18 deaths, all in Kerala again. Could you help us understand if this situation is localized in that part of the country, or there is an aspect of it actually growing?
Well, you have given a very brilliant and extensive review, intelligently described. The question is very valid. Suddenly, where this has come from? And I would say, which I haven't told you when we were discussing, that there is a extensive tourism in cities like Kerala. So this could be an add-on factor. The global warming could be another factor. And third is what we say, unfortunate industrial pollution or somewhere leakages taking place. This quantity or number of cases which has been described with reference to Kerala is very high, very high. It means there is some contamination somewhere which has to be checked, number one. And since this is in multiple cities of Kerala, this is again eye-opener. You see, this is a known amoeba which we were taught when I was a student in 70s that this exists in pools. That time the chlorination of pools were not very good and heating of the pools was not very prevalent. So till 2019, what I have got the statistics, only 24 cases have been reported, including Europe and America. Total 400 cases of this has been reported in the world, all countries combined. Now, the better side of the story is, since we are exposed so much to the amoeba in our food contamination, we have some kind of resistance. The world over mortality is 98%, and in Indian statistics so far, the mortality was reported 1/4 of that, that is 24%. This amoeba, since it comes into the contact of fragile brain tissue is liquid at body temperature for the benefit of the audience. This fragile brain tissue, once some obnoxious bacteria or amoeba crosses the blood-brain barrier, the nature has given three-layered protection, like we have VVIP security, three-layered, four-layered. So this, you have taken the PAM full form, Pan-Amoebic Meningoencephalitis. Let me tell the name, Naegleria fowleri. So this amoeba, which I was taught as Hartmanella, is almost same. These are nomenclature and identification pathologically, with a very high mortality, is obnoxious for the brain, and unfortunately, our medicines do not cross most of them blood-brain barrier
Got it.
unless we give them through the spine, through the spinal fluid. This is the cause of high mortality. And number two, your concern and your very right description makes me to say that this is a new addition to our already existing long list of diseases, which usually starting from
Yeah.
Kerala part of
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
So this is all what is
Let me
happening.
bring in Dr. Neha Rastogi also in this conversation. Dr. Neha, the thing with this amoeba is, and what I found most fascinating, is the fact that if this were to enter your body through the mouth, that is, it gets into your gastrointestinal region, then it doesn't do much harm. Largely leads to like loose stools, etc. But if it is not going into your mouth, but if it enters your nose, then it's just lethal, because we don't know if there is enough medication out there. We have seen once diagnosed, it's largely leading to death, even in infants, even in young kids. So how does that really work? Dr. Neha, if you can hear me? All right, let's quickly check that line with Dr. Neha as well. Let me take that question to Dr. Wali. Dr. Wali, what is the difference? Why is it that when it enters our stomach, then the harm is not as much, but if it enters our nose, then it's straight away taking lives?
The stomach gets this infection. Every third or fourth person walking on the road has some amount of amoebiasis exposed to some part of his life. There is acid in the stomach which destroys the cysts, mind it. Then the cyst wall gets ruptured and this creates problem. The amoeba multiplies 1 in 2, 2 in 4 like that. It doesn't multiply very fast like bacteria. But even then, it causes inflammation of the bowel, loose stool, diarrhea, and mucus formation. We typically, when we were not testing so much about amoebic serology, our teachers used to teach us if the stool is slimy, mucus-like what we have from the nose, then this is called amoebic colitis. Very common, very
Got it.
common. And this
Got it.
produces reflux acidity. The nose has got a barrier which is called a cribriform plate, like the sieve of the tea strainer, through which the nerves come. There are 12 to 20 branches of the olfactory nerve which senses the smell. And along that, there is a layer of the very thin layer of the brain fluid also descends down. And this is a very fragile area, very fragile. Like you cut a little extra of the nail, you have pain. With that, you can't see with naked eye how much cut nail is there
Got
to give you
it.
pain. Very small
Got it.
amount of the nail, जिसको हम कहते हैं कच्चा नाखून कट गया. So this
Yeah.
area is very fragile, very sensitive, through which these clever amoebic trophozoites can climb. Because of that, once they reach the brain, they cross the blood-brain barrier, they settle in the brain substance and produces neurosins. And unfortunately, in the brain, because they get a ready-made nutrition, its brain is rich in cholesterol and very good blood circulation, they multiply very fast. And therefore, they create a irreversible brain damage. And unfortunately, doctors also suspect it very late unless you teach us and alarm us
Got it.
and educate us. So we
Yeah.
also would do amoebic test in the brain fluid very late. So normally we do test for viral meningitis, TB meningitis, which is very common in India and other forms. Now we have a biofire which probably does not include amoebic detection unless we do specific IgG, IgM of amoeba in the cerebrospinal fluid. We can't diagnose this. It's a
Got
difficult
it.
diagnosis.
It's a
And the
difficult
typical
diagnosis indeed,
signs,
but perhaps
yeah.
or you have to go back to seeing where the symptoms started, and if you were exposed to water, and that seems to be the only way to find that out as well. Dr. Neha, if you could hear me this time around, I'm just trying to understand very clearly, why do all these infections come from Kerala. I've found it very hard to believe. Kerala keeps saying that it's because we are testing more. Was it, if it's COVID, it's Rika, it's whatever virus is sort of really, Nipah virus as well, whatever virus you think of, any disease you think of. Why is Kerala such a hub? I'm trying to understand, is it the geographical position? Is it the weather pattern? Is it exposure to backwaters, which is still... is it because people who are living on the coast need to be more careful, but there are other states also which are on the coast? Why only Kerala? Just make sense of this to me, please.
Right. So I think if you have an answer that all of the above, I would have mentioned that actually, what you have just spoken about. So usually the Kerala, not only the coastal area, if you see the Alleppey, the backwaters. So this, when we talk about the free living amoebae or the Naegleria, and for that matter, there are other species, etc. They usually thrive in more of the water springs area, the warm water, the areas where there is a bit tide between the high coast and the low coast, those areas which have a lot of geothermals and the hot springs. So usually it does not come in the sea. We are not talking about the sea water thing. We are talking about where there is a warm pools, rivers, and small lakes and the dams. So there the Kerala's are little more richer in that, because we all know about the backwaters, as you have also mentioned. There are a lot of temperate forest areas which have a lot of pools and ditches in between. There are a lot of spaces. And third, of course, I would say that coming from the Kerala, apart from being the temperate zone and everything, also because of course the initial few cases have been reported, so their diagnostic system is circulated in that way, of course, that they have started checking it more oftenly. But of course, talking about that, we do have one or two cases reported in last 10 years, even from the North India as well. However, the most of the cases are still being reported from the South India. I've just mentioned the reasons.
Got it. Dr. Neha, also help me understand this. So for people who are still going out to swim, to perhaps places which are taken care of, is chlorine or chlorination of water enough to keep this amoeba at bay?
I would say that, there are three things important in that. Apart from the adequate chlorine content, as I have mentioned, that swimming pools or the splash pads are the most common causes, which is there. And the typically chlorinated content has to be really good. Apart from that, wherever you have a stagnant water, you don't have much circulation and you're not doing it well cleaning. There is a lot of algae involved on the surfaces, so when we talk about the micromanagement with the chlorine, even the macro cleaning itself is very important. When you have an artificial made geothermals or water springs, a lot of times we'd go to Manikar and other places like that where you have a hot springs and you enjoy in this weather. There, it's very important to keep up the water supply in the circulation, because these amoebas, they thrive on the stagnant water. So chlorine is one content. Second content, of course, is the regular change of the water supply, or the regular pooling in and pooling out of those water into the system. So, and then the third thing is too much of warm water, because these amoeba, as I mentioned previously also, they don't thrive in the sea water, because there is constant tides coming there, constant waves coming, and you are
Still
taking off the
water.
initial water. So the still water, if it is there, that also needs to be keeping changing and in circulation.
So when you say still water, do you mean in community jacuzzis or in community places where there is a pool, etc.? One needs to be careful, even if you're in the north. I don't want to like sound alarm bells and say it's everywhere and everybody should stop, just going for a swim straight away, because it is that time of the year. There is hand, foot, mouth in kids. There is H3N2. We just did a show on that on Friday. And then there is this. So this is generally the time of the year. Would you say that people should stay away from any kind of water activity? Would that be fair to say?
No, 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 not at all. The idea to pitch is about the care and about the more awareness. So when you say that when you're going, you are a good pool activity user, your kids are going, you're going for jacuzzis or spas, even we go also as a method of recreation. The only basic purpose is how clean are they? They are not stagnant, they are keep clean, because a lot of authorities, they keep intact information in terms of that they do it weekly cleaning or a bi-weekly cleaning or even a fortnightly cleaning, depends upon the volume of the usage of that area for the most of the people. And then the second thing, which obviously is a very important matter, is your own personal hygiene. So, for example, just a bare minimum. When we know about those stagnant places, we go in the pools just for the enjoyment purpose. At least just nasal clipping. That's just a basic may or a modality
Yeah.
just to have prevention. Second and
Yeah.
third thing is, as we have just mentioned about the epidemiological and geographical differences, usually in our places right in the north and the west zones, they don't have much of those stagnant water areas or the warm springs as compared to down there in the south, coastal areas and seas. So that way, I would say the more inclination of having that there is there, as we have just discussed in terms
Got
of the
it.
weather profile.
Hmm.
So only the just basic hygiene, changing of at least the water, keeping the chlorinated content up to the mark are bare minimum which we can do anywhere.
Which we can do anywhere. I have last few minutes. I just want to bring in a quick word from Dr. Wali. Dr. Wali, a lot of places in North India just had flooding situations. We saw it in Delhi as well. A lot of water was flooded. You saw it in Uttarakhand, in Himachal, even in Jammu and other places. So is flooding, because now water is stagnated, a lot of it has not retreated, are those areas also to be kept in mind, carefully sort of seen if you, I mean, one thing is obviously do not take a dip in those waters, but there is a chance that the amoeba could actually be flourishing in those areas as well?
Well, if it is migrated from the place where it is prevalent right now, there is a possibility. I would add one thing, very important thing, that children and adults, even I have seen, there are rules for the pools. Take a shower, and that shower means clean your genitals, clean your hips, clean your area, which is pelvic area, clean your armpits also. Of course, now I would say clean your nose before, rinse your nose before jumping into. That hygiene has to be observed, because if
Yeah.
someone is harboring another amoeba, that might mutate into the water later on. This is
Yes.
one possibility. I have gone to the best pools in Delhi and abroad also. People don't take care of hygiene while
That's true.
going to the pool. This is one
Yep.
important. And there is a possibility in stagnant water, it will grow. And I have raised this point, industrial pollution has to be checked. If the water
Yeah.
is polluted from the industrial waste or industrial pollution which is invisible, so you supply that water into the pool. Pool में लोग सोचते हैं ये ordinary water है, बस नहाने के लिए पीने के लिए नहीं है. Pool water is very important for the health. It is touching your eyes, touching your mouth, touching your body and other areas of the skin. Pool
Those are
water
important points.
sanitation is
Yep.
equally important as drinking water sanitation. Don't just check the chlorine in that water. See the details of the water content, microbes, microscope, under the microscope, fungus. What are the contaminants? Many people do unsavory things in the swimming pools. I have seen myself, even educated people, foreigners even I
Yep.
have seen. So they should know
Yeah, I take your point, Dr. Wali,
what
that,
we are
the
doing to
basic
prevent
sense of
that.
hygiene when it comes to any water exposure has to be watched out, especially this time of the year, and perhaps from what you're saying across, all year round as well. Dr. Neha Rastogi, Dr. M. Wali, thank you both for joining us and shedding light on what this brain-eating amoeba is all about. Currently, most of the cases are found in Kerala, but you've got to be careful because this could actually spread anywhere. All right, the Prime Minister is in Bihar today, and just minutes ago he did address the crowd there ahead of Bihar elections and said that we will flush out infiltrators from India. He went on to say that there is a guarantee, this is Modi's guarantee, action will be taken against intruders and the country will also see good results. Now, the double-engine Sarkar pitch was also made by the Prime Minister there as he addressed a rally along with Nitish Kumar. Remember, it's a closely fought election and an intensely fought election in Bihar where two alliances are coming together and pitted against each other with some surprise candidates as well. And the Prime Minister there in Purnia, and just after addressing that rally, is now on his way in what looks like a mini road show of sorts. And while Bihar gets ready for the political battle.
लेकिन आज पूर्णिया की इस धरती से मैं इन लोगों को एक बात अच्छी तरह समझाना चाहता हूं। ये आरजेडी कांग्रेस वालों की जमात, जरा कान खोल के मेरे बात सुन लो। जो भी घुसपैठियां हैं उसे बाहर जाना ही होगा। घुसपैठ पर ताला लगाना एनडीए की पक्की जिम्मेदारी है। आप घुसपैठियों को बचाने में चाहे जितना जोर लगा लें, आप घुसपैठियों को हटाने के संकल्प पर काम करते रहेंगे। जो लोग घुसपैठियों की ढाल बनते हैं वो सुन ले, भारत में भारत का कानून चलेगा, घुसपैठियों की मनमानी नहीं चलेगी। ये मोदी की गारंटी है। घुसपैठियों पर कार्रवाई होगी और देश इसका अच्छा परिणाम भी देख के रहेगा। घुसपैठ के समर्थन में कांग्रेस आरजेडी वाले जो विषय उछाल रहे हैं, बिहार और देश की जनता उन्हें बहुत करारा जवाब देने जा रही है। बिहार के विकास की ये गति, बिहार की प्रगति कुछ लोगों को रास नहीं आ रही है। जिन लोगों ने दशकों तक बिहार का शोषण किया, इस मिट्टी को धोखा दिया, आज वो ये मानने को तैयारी नहीं कि बिहार भी नए कीर्तिमान बना सकता है। बिहार जब भी आगे बढ़ता है, ये लोग बिहार का अपमान करने में जुट जाते हैं। अभी आपने देखा होगा, आरजेडी की सहयोगी कांग्रेस पार्टी सोशल मीडिया पर बिहार की तुलना बीड़ी से कर रही है। इन लोगों को बिहार से इतनी नफरत है, इन लोगों ने घोटाले और भ्रष्टाचार करके बिहार की साख को बहुत नुकसान पहुंचाया। अब बिहार को विकास करते देखकर कांग्रेस आरजेडी ने फिर बिहार को बदनाम करने की ठान ली है। भाइयों बहनों, ऐसी मानसिकता वाले लोग कभी बिहार का भला नहीं कर सकते। जिन लोगों को अपनी तिजोरी भरने की चिंता रही हो, वो गरीब के घर की चिंता क्यों करें? कांग्रेस के एक प्रधानमंत्री ने माना था कि कांग्रेस सरकार 100 पैसा भेजती है, 100 रुपये तो 85 पैसा बीच में ही लूट जाता है। आप मुझे बताइए, कांग्रेस आरजेडी की सरकार में सीधे गरीब के खाते में पैसे आ पाते थे। लालटेन जला करके वो पंजा उस पैसों को हाथ मारता था।
All right, let's move on from that and bring you the other big story we are tracking here on 5 Live. A major road accident in Delhi has reignited concerns over rash driving. A senior finance ministry official was killed and his wife critically injured after their motorcycle was hit by a BMW near Dholakwan, Delhi. Now, the accused, who was driving the BMW, has been arrested and, as per Delhi police sources, has been produced in a court today. The couple was on their way to their home to Harinagar when the accident took place. And now cops are probing why the couple was hospitalized 19 kilometers away from the accident site in those critical minutes of recovery and some life-saving sort of mechanism that could have been provided. But the case has raised major concerns as well over the value of life when it comes to such incidents.
A high-profile life snuffed out by speed demon in Delhi. Navjot Singh, Deputy Secretary in the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance, crushed to death. His wife, Sandeep Kaur, battling for her life after their bike was mowed down by a speeding BMW during the couple's post-lunch drive home. Behind the wheels of the recklessly speeding BMW was Gaganpreet Makkar, who has now been arrested. The couple on the motorcycle was mowed down by the BMW near Dholakwan. BMW was being driven by Gaganpreet and her husband, Parikshit, was in the car.
The entire front portion has gone off. The BMW is a luxury car, but clearly the impact of the entire accident is visibly felt on this car. As you can see, the entire wind bags opened, and also the backside of the car. You can see how visibly the damage has been in this incident.
मैंने देखा एक गाड़ी उल्टी पड़ी है, एक्सीडेंट हो गया है, तो मैं इस करके मैंने हेल्पिंग के थ्रू उनको दोनों को अपनी गाड़ी में बैठाया और मैं हॉस्पिटल की तरफ रवाना हुआ। न्यू लाइफ करके हॉस्पिटल बता रहे थे और वो बता रहे थे कि आज़ादपुर की साइड जाना है।
The FIR reveals a possible sinister plot to destroy evidence. After the crash, Navjot and Sandeep were taken by the accused to a hospital in GTB Nagar, which was 19 kilometers from the accident spot, owned by the family friend. While ignoring plea by the victim's wife to take her husband to nearby premier hospitals like AIMS and Safdarjung, losing crucial moments which could have saved the top bureaucrat.
नवनूर, पूरे मामले में आई थिंक एक ही चीज है जो सबको खनक रही है कि आप इतना दूर किसी को क्यों ले जाओगे।
हाँ, वो मुझे भी नहीं समझ आया कि इतना दूर धौलाकुआं जहाँ एक्सीडेंट हुआ उसके आसपास इतने अच्छे बड़े हॉस्पिटल्स हैं एंड ये 20 किलोमीटर दूर कोई अजीब से नर्सिंग होम में ले गए जहाँ मेरी मम्मी को बाहर लॉबी में ट्रीट कर रहे थे। वो मेरे पापा बाय द टाइम उनको हम लेके गए मॉर्चरी में, देयर वर flies on him.
The victim's family also claimed that Navjot's critical hurt wife, Sandeep, was kept on a stretcher for several hours before she was treated by doctors.
जो कार जिनकी थी BMW, उनके हॉस्पिटल में फेंका हुआ था उनको दोनों को। कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई देखभाल नहीं, कुछ नहीं कर रहे थे।
The accused now face charge of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. They have also been charged for destruction and concealment of evidence and rash driving.
गगनप्रीत को देख पा रहे हैं आप, लेकर दिल्ली पुलिस की टीम यहाँ पर पहुंची हुई है। अब यहाँ पर गगनप्रीत से जो डीसीपी रैंक के अधिकारी हैं वो पूछताछ करेंगे। बकायदा नॉर्थ दिल्ली के अस्पताल से कस्टडी में लिया गया।
The deadly BMW crash once again highlighting the killer menace of overspeeding and reckless driving on Delhi's roads. With Arvind Oja and Shreya Chatterjee, Bureau Report, India Today.
And some more updates coming in on this news coverage, entire bit of that accused driver, Gaganpreet Kaur, who's been arrested by the police. Now, new details are emerging that the killer BMW crash that was caught on CCTV actually shows that the car first rammed into the divider before having an impact on the bike of Navjot and ultimately leading into the crash. Now that's critical. Let's try and understand what this really means. My colleague Shreya is with us. Shreya, what does this new information really tell us? Did she lose control of the car and it went into the divider as an impact? The car, the bike actually was rammed into. What exactly is that CCTV footage telling us?
Well, Sonal, because I myself personally saw that CCTV footage which the Delhi police just showed us, it clearly shows that this BMW car was in a speed which did go out of control. That is when there was a divider on the right hand side of the road which was along the metro pillars. It first hit the divider. Subsequently, it tilted into 90 degrees, then rammed into the bike, then rams into the bus. So that is why those after visuals you see the bike of Navjot actually lying just underneath the vehicle, which is also already toppled down. The impact was such huge because it had first hit the divider. The CCTV clearly establishes that. Now, multiple other things have been picked up that suggest that, why did they take the victims to a hospital 19 kilometers? As of now, in the interrogation, the accused maintains that because she has a trust with the hospital during the COVID time, that is the reason why she chose that hospital. Whether or not the court finds it plausible is something that we will have to wait for. As of now, she will be produced in the court today, either before the duty or in the Patiala House Court as the regular schedule suggests. And then we will be seeing her sent to judicial custody, because in all likelihood, Delhi police will not be seeking a police custody is what we are being confirmed.
All right, not seeking police custody, that means they pretty much have all the things that they need from her. That generally indicates that they don't need any further evidence, and they've pretty much established what the sequence of events here are. Shreya, we also saw your interview with the son. It's just heartbreaking, isn't it? You just leave home one day to visit someone, or you go to office, but you never come back. It is such a tragic situation to be in, and on top of that, to know that had the victim here been taken to a hospital nearby, maybe, just maybe, his life could have been saved.
Well, absolutely, and that's exactly what is the first aid in every accident situation. It's unfortunately Navnoor's birthday tomorrow is what we're also being told. He is absolutely devastated. His mother just went into a surgery today. Father passed away. Both the couple actually had a usual Sunday affair. They were having a lunch post which they were returning when this entire accident took place. I absolutely reiterate what Navnoor says. The collision may have been an accident. What transpired is nothing less than a murder, and that's precisely why we saw two crucial sections added by the Delhi police. One, death by negligence, and the other, destruction of evidence.
Well, Shreya, thank you so much for bringing us all those details. Tragic, tragic indeed. Let's break it open to some guests now who are joining us. Piyush Tiwari, founder and CEO of Save Life Foundation, is with us. Also joining us is Dr. Kamal Soy. He's a member for the National Road Safety Council and the Ministry of Road and Transport Highways, Government of India. Dr. Kamal, let me come to you first. I want to understand that Shreya is right when she says, and the son is right in this case when he says that the collision might have been an accident, but choosing to not go to the nearest hospital shows an intent of not saving life.
Absolutely,
Just
that is
to cover
true. That's absolutely, that's right. Right, is maybe they might have been trying to cover it up, and there are a lot of other things attached to it. Number one is the speeding. Number two, there may be a distracted driving as well. Maybe the lady who was behind the wheel, she was talking on the phone, or she was under some kind of intoxication, or some argument happening in the car with the husband. That's why she lost control over it. Now, in India, we do not have IDRs in our vehicles, incident data recorders, like the aeroplanes have the black box, to find out exactly what might have happened in that situation.
Yeah.
As it is mentioned that the CCTV says that it first hit the divider, then it hit the vehicle. And the irony is, the worst part is the platinum 10 minutes. If the first aid would have been provided in first 10 minutes, there was maybe about 60-70% chance Navjot might have survived. But they took him all the way to 19 kilometers, and that too in a private vehicle, where there was no CPR or first aid or anything was given to Navjot. And what I could understand that this hospital belonged to some known person of the culprits, and that's why they wanted to escape from there. And they have escaped the medical. They have destroyed the medical evidence as well, because once they reach the hospital, first they would have done is the medical of the Gaganpreet Kaur, the driver, whether she was under intoxication or whether she was something else was happening in the car. So we do not know what transpired, and I don't know whether the police is going to find the real truth from Gaganpreet here. But
it seems like they have a tight case, because they don't seem to be seeking police custody any further. That generally happens when police has pretty much figured out everything and they just want to get over with the legalities. Now, let me bring in Piyush Tiwari as well. Piyush, give me a legal point of view here. In situations like these, I remember when rape cases during Nirbhaya's time, when we were reporting, the law on this was very clear, that it doesn't matter where it occurred. If a woman is going into a police station to file a complaint, it will be taken on board. Similarly, in road accidents, I'm trying to understand what is the protocol here. One way could be that let's not wait for an ambulance, let's just put them in a vehicle so that they can be taken to the nearest hospital. Is that the protocol under the law?
So there are a couple of things to consider here. One is the pre-crash aspect. So what happened in the what led to the crash, and so on and so forth. And the only way to find out what happened in the crash is to investigate the crash under Section 135 of the Motor Vehicle Act as amended in 2019. Now, the challenge is that the police are not seeking police custody, but to establish a case under culpable homicide, they will need to have forensic evidence, which will need to be collected under Section 135. CCTV evidence alone will not help. You have to look inside the vehicle, you have to look outside, you have to look at infrastructure. There are at least 300 data points that you have to capture in order to ensure that, to establish that case. So in many cases of culpable homicide, in the cases of road crashes, we see accused parties being, not getting punished because the police has not been able to establish evidence. So that, leaving that aside, I think the challenge here is that when we talk about trauma care, there's an entire chain of survival that gets involved here. You need to know who to call for help. Once the help arrives, and in the meanwhile, bystanders, under the Good Samaritan law, can look after the victims. When the help arrives, they need to get formal care to the hospital and so on and so forth. So in this case, we saw that entire chain of survival was completely neglected, was completely abolished. So in a typical scenario, you have to take the person to the nearest hospital, even if you're not waiting for an ambulance. In this case, of course, as we've seen, that the person was taken to not taken to the nearest hospital, was taken to a facility quite far away, which I think is a point that police also needs to look into and see if it's worthy of vicarious liability and charging filing additional charges in this particular matter. But the one point that I wanted to leave you with is that, we are discussing this today because it's a sensational case now. It involves a very senior government officer and so on and so forth. 173,000 people died in 2023 in road crashes. 173,000 people. 474 people a day. That's a fully loaded Boeing 747 crashing every single day in the country. And unfortunately, a big cause of this is speeding. And what we are seeing across the country, not just in Delhi, is a complete abdication of responsibility by enforcers in controlling speeding, in showing visibility, both day and night. We are seeing in capital, in the heart of the city, wrong side driving happening, people driving without helmets, people doing zigzag driving, over speeding. If this is happening in the capital, we can imagine what's happening on the highways. So the Achilles heel for road safety in India really is enforcement. In 2019, the Motor Vehicle Act was amended, passed. 1st September, it was notified. States had to create rules under it. Section 138(1)A for protection of motorized, non-motorized road users, 136A for electronic enforcement, 135 for forensic crash investigation. States have not issued those rules. It's been more than 5 years. What is Delhi government doing in terms of bringing in these rules?
I'm very glad you brought that up, Piyush, as well. I was anyways going to sort of bring that about, and you see those numbers on your screen right now also, how year by year, it doesn't seem to be settling down. It only is increasing. And and you're right when you say that this is a senior finance ministry official. That's why it's made it to the headlines. How many people lose their lives every minute on the roads of our country, and we never even notice. But let's talk solutions here, Piyush. Today, if you are speeding in Delhi, you get a ticket, no matter what. Even if you cross the zebra line, you get a notification that you have been challaned. So I'm trying to understand, is challaning now the right way to go about it at all? Because a lot of these people then just pay and still continue to speed on the roads.
You see a large, if you look at violations, right? So Delhi has now installed cameras at a number of places, and many of them have ANPR capabilities, which is automatic number plate reading capabilities, and they're able to issue challans as a result of that. If you stand on any intersection, do a general survey in terms of number of challans issued versus the number of violations that you can capture there, you'll see a dramatic difference there. What that tells you is that electronic enforcement alone does not help. You need a combination of electronic enforcement with visible policing to create a deterrent factor. And that deterrence is very, very important because it's not just in India. The same drivers, when driving in Dubai or the US, will drive better only because they know that enforcement is tight there. So chalaning is not the only solution, or we can't talk about it casually. Enforcement is a very significant established method of controlling this public health epidemic that is taking place in our country. And if we don't undertake enforcement effectively using both technology and human means, like for example, the others, guests spoke about, potentially doing a drunk driving test on the driver. A camera can't do that. A camera can't gauge whether somebody's driving drunk or not. There are many other violations that are coming up.
Those
You
are,
see lane
yeah,
hogging
those are
as a
very, very
major
important
factor.
points, Piyush. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have. But thank you so much for both for joining us. If I might also say that, it's not just about what happens after you're on the wheel. I think checks need to begin before you get the license. And that's, again, a space where India is very, very weak, very, very far behind. Proper tests are not done in issuing of licenses, and I think that's also one of the major reasons. But Piyush Tiwari and Dr. Kamal Soy, thank you so much both for joining us on that discussion.